I'm your host Sigmund, and I'm excited to share with you the ins and outs of this fundamental concept in psychology. So, what are Gestalt principles? In simple terms, Gestalt principles refer to the way our brains organize visual information into meaningful patterns and shapes. The term Gestalt comes from German, meaning form or shape, and it was first introduced by German psychologists in the early 20th century. These principles are essential in understanding how we perceive and process visual information, and they have far-reaching implications for fields like design, art, and even therapy. The core idea behind Gestalt theory is that our brains tend to group similar elements together, creating a unified whole. This is known as the law of proximity. We also tend to perceive continuous patterns rather than individual components, which is known as the law of continuity. One of the key psychologists who contributed to our understanding of Gestalt principles was Max Wertheimer. He discovered that when we're presented with a series of dots, we tend to perceive them as a line or a shape rather than individual dots. This phenomenon is known as the phi phenomenon. Another important researcher, Kurt Koffka, expanded on Wertheimer's work and introduced the concept of field theory, which suggests that our perception is influenced by the context in which we view an object. Studies have shown that when we're presented with symmetrical patterns, it can create a sense of calmness and relaxation. For example, one study found that patients who were exposed to symmetrical visual patterns experienced reduced symptoms of anxiety and improved mood. On the other hand, asymmetrical or discordant patterns can lead to feelings of tension and discomfort. Gestalt principles have numerous practical applications in our everyday lives. For instance, designers use Gestalt principles to create effective visual displays that guide the viewer's attention and convey information in a clear and concise manner. Therapists also apply Gestalt principles in the treatment of perceptual disorders or cognitive impairments, helping patients to better organize and make sense of their surroundings. Let me give you an example of how Gestalt principles can be applied in real-life situations. Imagine you're trying to create a visually appealing infographic for a project at work. By applying Gestalt principles, you can group related information together using proximity and similarity, creating a clear and organized visual hierarchy. You can also use continuity and closure to guide the viewer's attention through the different elements of the infographic. Another example is in the field of art therapy. Researchers have used Gestalt principles to develop new therapeutic approaches for patients with perceptual disorders or cognitive impairments. For instance, one study found that when patients were presented with symmetrical visual patterns, it helped to improve their spatial awareness and reduce symptoms of anxiety. In addition to these examples, Gestalt principles can also be applied in other areas, such as architecture and urban planning. By understanding how our brains organize visual information, architects and urban planners can design buildings and public spaces that are more aesthetically pleasing and functional. In conclusion, Gestalt principles are a fundamental aspect of human perception, revealing how our brains actively shape and organize visual information. By understanding these principles, we can gain insights into how our minds work, improve our visual communication, and even develop new therapeutic approaches. As my colleagues in the field would agree, Gestalt principles are a powerful tool for anyone interested in psychology, design, or simply improving their everyday interactions. So, the next time you're designing a presentation or creating a piece of art, remember to apply Gestalt principles to create a visually appealing and effective visual display. And when you're navigating through your daily life, pay attention to how your brain is organizing visual information. It might just give you a new appreciation for the intricate workings of your mind. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, may your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.